Today I want to talk to you about flow control devices. We commonly call these aerators, but there's a very distinctive difference between flow control devices. Not all flow control devices are aerators. All the faucets that you see in facilities have a flow control device on them, usually. And what that does is it regulates the flow of the water that's coming out. That water that's coming into the building is under a lot of pressure, usually 120 pounds of pressure. If you see a faucet and you turn it on and it doesn't have an aerator on it, that water shoots out of there with a lot of pressure and it's real messy and splashy and everything else. So they created these flow control devices, and the initial ones were aerators because they introduce air into the stream of the water, which softens the flow. It also controls the rate of flow, so the gallons per minute that comes out of that faucet. They also control the pressure. They compensate for changes in pressure because the water coming into a building from the street, the pressure fluctuates. That's why they have systems and pumps and things to accommodate for that. But at the very end, at the point of use, there is still a pressure compensator, and that is what we call aerator, which is actually the flow control device. The reason that they don't aerate anymore in certain situations is because of a bacteria called Legionella. Legionella exists in every building water system in microscopic amounts, and part of the job of our maintenance professionals is to constantly monitor for Legionella levels. They are affected by the rise of temperature in that water, so they're constantly monitoring the temperatures. That bacteria, when it's allowed to populate in unreasonable numbers, it flows through the water, and when it gets to the end of the faucet, that bacteria is airborne. So the air in the aerator lets the bacteria flow out into the room so that everybody is allowed to then breathe it in. And that causes Legionnaire's disease, which is a severe type of pneumonia. It's a big problem, and most hospitals for years have restricted the use of aerators. They prohibit aerators in the facility for that reason. Now, any GSA facility is being told not to use aerators, only to use laminar flow devices. But I want to just give you some basic steps on how to identify what they need. Tip number one, you start with figuring out what size the aerator is. And they come in 3 general sizes. The first one, the largest, is the size of a quarter. The next one down is the size of a nickel. And the next one down is the size of a dime. So the largest one is called a regular. The one that's the size of a nickel is called small, and the one that's the size of a dime is called a tom thumb because it's so small. So you've got the size. Step number 2 is the gender. Is that aerator going to be a female or a male? Most faucets come with a female end to the spout, so their aerators, most typical aerators, are male, but there are both types of faucets everywhere. The one best tip that I can give you, the dual thread aerator. That comes with threads on the outside and the inside, so that it accommodates to either a male or female spout. It comes in all the different flow rates, and you can also get it in either the regular or the laminar flow style. And then the next thing you want to know is what type do they need? Do they need that flow to be aerated, or do they not want an aerated flow? The third type of flow rate is going to be for the reduced flow, for people that want to conserve water, so they reduce that flow rate down to a minimum. And in that case, there's a little spray pattern that happens. Otherwise, it would just be a drip. And the spray actually covers your hands and makes you feel like you're getting a more abundant amount. So then the fourth is the rate of flow. So that's how many gallons per minute are coming out of that faucet. That flow rate, by the way, is going to be 2 gallons per minute for most kitchen faucets. Then it steps down to 1.5 gallons, which is usually your lav faucets, until you get to facilities where they're trying to conserve water. Then it goes down to like a 1 gallon. There's also a 0.5, and there's also a 0.35 is the smallest rate. And obviously that's going to be a spray pattern, those last 2. The last thing that you need to know, because obviously these are easy to take off and on, and they get stolen and they go missing a lot, so they make them in a Vandal-Proof design. And that's where the aerator keys come in. We have pre-made aerator assortment kits. These are what the aerator keys look like for the different Vandal-Proof styles. So that is it. Very basic. Check the size, the gender, the type, the flow rate. Does it need to be Vandal-Proof or not? Simple.